Hey guys, Zibboyeye or just Zib is fine, and today we're looking at the black sheep of the Ju-On franchise. In 2009, 6 years after Ju-On 2, Ju-On received not just one, but two direct-to-video films. Albeit released separately as Ju-On White Ghost and Ju-On Black Ghost, the two movies were one project. Although this one project wouldn't be headed by the one man this series is known for. This would be the first Japanese entry Takashi Shimizu played a limited role in. With the creator of the series acting as story drafter and supervisor, two other filmmakers were chosen to lead their own half of the project. Ryuta Miyake would write and direct Ju-On White Ghost, while Maria Sato wrote and directed Ju-On Black Ghost. I wouldn't be surprised if their task was akin to a friendly competition between the two, as the advertisements presented the two films before the question, white or black, which is scarier? So, which is scarier? Let's find that out and more by looking at Ju-On White Ghost and Ju-On Black Ghost. Ju-On White Ghost follows the events after and leading up to a family massacre. That massacre resulting in a Ju-On, aka a curse. Preluding these events is Ju-On Black Ghost. This story follows child Fukie and her mysterious collapse being the work of a curse. The two movies have some overlapping qualities, so to save myself the footwork redundancy welcomes, I'll cover the consistencies between the two films first. Both films display a few neat visuals. Although it doesn't match up to Ju-On 2's effects, the visuals of White Ghost and Black Ghost are much appreciated. A choice I commend the project for is the introduction of new ghosts. The core concept of Ju-On is malleable, that idea being vengeful ghosts and their hauntings presented in an anachronistic order. Because of its broad scenario, the Ju-On series has potential to tell stories beyond the Saeki family that I'm happy White Ghost Black Ghost realized. However, White Ghost Black Ghost breaks new ground while showing its hesitance to fully commit to such a feat. The ghosts retain Kayako's croak. It is more sensible for White Ghost considering her death due to strangulation, however Black Ghost died from falling off a building, thus rendering Black Ghost's throaty sound unjustified. The croak is iconic for the series, but it's Kayako's signature designed specifically around her death. I wish the film applied unique sounds to these ghosts to distinguish their identity. White Ghost and Black Ghost chase the iconicism of the series, but in doing so forsakes its own originality. Lastly and oddly is each film's cameo. For some reason, Toshio makes a guest appearance in both movies. What is he doing? Why is he wandering the streets? Is this Toshio's suburban Japan tour? Why is he here? It's worse in White Ghost, coming right after a molestation scene. Once in each movie, the camera halts on Toshio as if he has importance, but he impacts the plot none. His emphasis baffled me. Is it a joke? I mean, I laughed, but is that what you want this once intimidating antagonist relegated to? Toshio's awkward, blatant, and contrived cameo is canonically and tonally confusing. Those are the good, bad, and weird common grounds between both pictures, but let's get into each film's exclusivities, starting with Ju-On White Ghost. One thing I admire about White Ghost is the house it revolves around. As opposed to the original Saeki house, the house in White Ghost features Western design. I'm happy when the film is able to embrace differences that set itself apart from the previous entries of the series. The story follows the hauntings of a past household, particularly the grandma, the White Ghost. However, the curse's origin is contestable. The story is set into motion when the Isobe family moves into their new home. Atsushi accompanies his sister Junko, her daughter Mirai, along with his mother Haru, the soon-to-be White Ghost. While exploring the house, Atsushi becomes possessed by a spirit who will massacre the Isobe household. One problem, the spirit haunting the Isobes has no basis of being. Although there was a murder in that house featured in Black Ghost, the ghost of the victim does not lead Atsushi to his possession. It's instead White Ghost, aka the person not dead yet. Let's say even if Granny White Ghost time traveled to the past, why would she cause the events of her own demise? There is no basis for this inciting incident outside of this cockamamie contrived, chronologically confused conundrum. Beyond the story as a whole, the segments are flawed as well. A lack of storytelling plagues a number of the segments in White Ghost. The segment Isobe ends just 2 minutes after White Ghost leads Atsushi to his possession. Only 2 minutes of this 5.5-minute story has conflict. By the time we get to the conflict, the story packs it up and heads home. Yasukawa's segment offers another example of poor writing. In his story, we follow Officer Kawabata, who finds a mysterious tape. Senior Officer Yasukawa explains that he had rid of it years before its now mysterious reappearance. Finding it again, Yasukawa destroys the tape, but upon returning, Kawabata finds it intact, and that's it. Hardly much of a story. We already witnessed the tape's ability to reappear. The conclusion provides no new information. The ending could have shown how to successfully destroy the tape, or Kawabata dying, any new piece of information forming some sense of conclusion, but it doesn't. To hammer in my point even further, there's Kashiwagi's segment, a story weighing in at barely above 4 minutes. Only 2 unnerving events are fit into this segment. Kashiwagi's story is relatively uneventful, especially in the scares department. Beyond that, its short run fails to draw out suspense. About half of the segments suffer from one of these aforementioned faults, leaving much of the movie unfulfilling. This matter is made worse when the disparity between eventful segments and those lacking such result in an inconsistent pace. The script is not White Ghost's strong suit, so what about its horror? Ju-on White Ghost has some effective moments. The sexual abuse on the young Mirai as well as the brutality displayed in the massacre made me uncomfortable. I commend the film for pushing the gruesomeness of the series without feeling out of place. Don't let that fool you though, the beginning of the film is uncharacteristically pacifist. The death of Kashiwagi is left off screen while we cut away when a character comes in contact with the White Ghost. The beginning does little to illustrate the Ju-on's danger, and because of it, dulls the ghost's edge. Not to mention the elephant in the room. Oh my god, Granny Ju-on ballin'! Where do I begin? For one, White Ghost appears very early, 9 minutes in, which is at about 1/6 of the film. Reminder, it took just under half of Ju-on to reveal Kayako. Unlike Ju-on, where one could have seen Kayako in the preceding direct-to-video movies, White Ghost is completely new. Her appearance has a greater opportunity to surprise in that regard, but the film declines the potential suspense. Not that there'd be anything but uproarious laughter when White Ghost rears her goofy self. Unless Castaway horridly scarred you as a kid, her bright orange basketball won't have you screaming. It's a joke. I'd like to see this take on other movie villains. How about Sadako with a tennis racket? Or Freddy Krueger with tap dance shoes? Or Chrome Skull with commissioned Slacker Cats fan art? Any attempt at a scare using this curse is undermined due to her comical appearance. And when that's the antagonist of your horror movie, what do you have left? Ju-on White Ghost falters from several angles. The story has no reason of being given its unfounded inciting incident, and beyond the film's whole, poor storytelling and pacing render many segments unsatisfying. Although the film bears some uncomfortable scenes, the villain who attempts to lead the horror is a jester of a Ju-on. The script drags the film waist deep in inadequacy. Unfortunately, the horror serves as an anchor from there. But that speaks for only half of the works I'm covering today, so let's look at White Ghost's complementary cohort, Ju-on Black Ghost. Right off the bat, Ju-on Black Ghost features cinematography I'm fond of. The shots employ engaging composition techniques such as framing and leading lines. The parallel lines that compose many shots create a compelling visual presentation for me. Cinematographer Shin Hayasaka gives Black Ghost a sharp, pleasing aesthetic. The story holds water as well. Aside from one segment, the character stories are more consistently paced and eventful than that of White Ghost. I have an affinity towards the scenario as well. The story revolves around Fukiye, a girl who, prior to birth, underwent a case of vanishing twin syndrome. The spirit of the twin her fetus absorbed still lies within Fukiye's body and fights for control. It's a big departure from the usual Ju-on scenario. There's no haunted house, and the antagonist's resentment towards her in birth is a unique motive. Yet the vengeful spirit the film centers around keeps the movie identifiable with the series. I love that Black Ghost preserves enough of the premise to be Ju-on while creatively diverging in setting and villain. I already appreciate the story of Black Ghost, but how does its horror stack up? In comparison to White Ghost, we see more of the death Black Ghost caused. In doing so, the movie gives the audience a reason to be scared of the antagonist. Even disregarding White Ghost though, Black Ghost's horror displays competency. There's one instance I found reminiscent of the original film's care for sound design. Twice, Fukiye lets out a blood-curdling screech. The pitch and the prolonged length of the sound unnerved me. Although, it makes me regret Black Ghost uses Kayako's croak when the film provided a new and just as effective sound to use as her signature. Black Ghost's appearance is prefaced well. The viewer catches a glimpse of her hand in the first segment, but has to wait until the end of the second segment to witness her facial features. Although it's sooner than Kayako's reveal in Ju-on, I admire the suspense Black Ghost builds towards its antagonist. Regarding her design, Black Ghost is distinguished from the spirits before her. Rather than bearing a pale white skin tone, Black Ghost appears almost entirely engulfed in shadow. It obscures her expression, creating an inhuman, unnatural appearance. Her distinguished and unsettling design makes Black Ghost a worthy Ju-on spirit. Ju-on Black Ghost is a worthy addition to the series. The scenario is a breath of fresh air with a unique antagonist, while the horror and suspense, although not as good as Shimizu's in my opinion, does its job well. But that leaves the question posed at the beginning of this review: white or black? Which is scarier? I admit, Black Ghost's content didn't come close to the brutality displayed in White Ghost's climax. Then again, Black Ghost never sunk so low to the embarrassment that is Ballin' Grandma. Ju-on Black Ghost's suspense and intimidating villain gave it the better scares. However, scares is just one of the ingredients that make up a horror movie. Even in story, Black Ghost proves superior than White Ghost due to its unique scenario and better paced segments. My favorite thing about these films though is Black Ghost's setup. These two movies at the time were a chance to try something new with the series. Ju-on Black Ghost's creative scenario seemed to realize that, thus I appreciate and admire its efforts. I've been Zibboyeye, or just Zib is fine, and thank you for watching. Zibbo bye bye!